Hey there, friends. My name is Jim, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about the Biden administration and the world at large's reaction to the conflict going on in Ukraine right now. There's a lot of Biden administration officials who are tweeting straight up fake news and legitimate memes. Everything's getting really, really weird and really, really silly, and it looks like shit posters like me and the other people on 4chan are actually getting things into the war news. So I'd like to take a quick look at that. Before that, let's just go ahead and click the subscribe button. Please copy the link to this tweet, send it to a friend, because YouTube does not help me out at all. So really, you guys are the way that I share this with other people. So please like, share, subscribe. Go to my website at jimmyjam.xyz, and let's take a look. So I'd like to start this out with a tweet by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. Now, first off, I want to point out that I'm not taking any sense of joy or anything out of anybody's death. First of all, I send the tweet out, the post out all the time. No more brother wars. And I personally mean it. I hate seeing people of Ukrainian descent, people of Russian descent, people of European descent fighting and killing each other, and I think it's completely nonsensical. With that said, this is from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine during the United States General Assembly, from a soldier to his mom. Quote, well, actually, let's just take a look at the video real quick to see what he has to say.
Shot of the smartphone of a killed Russian soldier.
Pretty sad.
That's an actual screenshot from someone who is dead already.
An actual screenshot.
Лёш, ты как? Почему так долго не отвечаешь? Вы точно на учениях? Спрашивает мать убитого солдата. За моменты перед тем, как он был убит.
It would be a very sad. Explaining he's no longer Crimea, not training anymore. She asks, where is he? Her father would like to send you something, is what the mother is saying to the Russian soldier. What kind of a package can you send me, Mom? Says the Russian soldier in Ukraine. She says, what are you talking about? What happened? The son, the Russian soldier, says, Mama, I'm in Ukraine. There's a real war waging here. I'm afraid. We are bombing all of the cities together, even targeting civilians. We were told that they would welcome us. And they're falling under our armored vehicles, throwing themselves under the wheels and not allowing us to pass. Tragic. They call us fascists. Mama, this is so hard.
In several moments he was killed.
In several moments he was killed. Okay, so I think this is horribly sad. This would be a horribly, horribly sad thing for a mother to hear from her son in the middle of a war. I'll be happy to announce that that is actually not what happened, because if you go onto 4chan, they are absolutely having a fucking riot of the fact that they call it a copy pasta. What happens is people will generally start a long wall of text that says that is a sad story or maybe a scary story or something like that. It's called copy pasta because you copy it and you paste it and you enjoy it like a meal. In this case, this copy pasta was going around 2 days ago. There was that same picture. It should be in this thread. Anyways, they're very happy that they were able to make up this scenario, including the cell phone, the picture that this gentleman used in the U.S. Assembly. That picture was a picture of one of these guys' cell phones because they wanted it to look real. It came from a website called 2chan.hk, which is one of the Chan image boards where you're completely anonymous and you can say whatever you want. That's generally referred to by many as the asshole of the internet because that's where all the craziest semi-illegal stuff comes from. Regardless, that is where this came from. on top of that, there is this kind of propaganda going around. President Zelensky saying, "We are all here. Our military are here. Citizens and society are here. We are all here defending our independence, our state, and it will remain so. Glory to our defenders. Glory to our woman defenders. Glory to Ukraine." Now, to many people, this may look like a leader who's really asserting himself and standing on the front lines just as his people demanded. But unfortunately, our Western people are using this as the best possible time to start talking about how this makes him just like the Avengers. It's honestly really disturbing. Let's see here. Jeremy Renner fan cast to play Ukraine president. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky has won the praise and admiration of people around the globe as he fights to, defend his country amid the Russian invasion. And Zelensky is taking absolute advantage of this. For the last 3 days, all of Twitter, all of the average lefty kind of hidey holes on the internet, Reddit, Twitter, the Discord, all these little weird places where the progressives shout loudest from, have been completely overtaken, replacing all of their avatars with Ukrainian flags, making sure that everybody knows that they stand with Ukraine. They actually had a little bit of argument over whether or not you should, when you're typing out Kiev, whether you should spell it K-I-E-V or K-Y-I-V, because K-Y-I-V is actually the way that Ukrainians spell it. So that's given a real gimme that to Putin. And here, let me show you that real quick. Here we go. Okay, so this was originally posted on the Feminist News Facebook page. It was taken down because I guess they recognized just how petty this was and how it wasn't really going to help anybody, and how they don't even understand the history of the area anyways, but they were saying that the capital of Ukraine is Kyiv. K-Y-I-V, pronounced Kyiv, is the transliteration from Ukrainian. Kiev, pronounced Kiev, K-I-E-V, is the Russian transliteration. As one small way to stand with the Ukrainian people, try to stick to the first spelling and pronunciation. And when I say that this is a feminist female thing, and this is kind of how they think about war, I'm not just picking on women because of this. This is the smallest thing that I've seen from them, actually. Here's a little bit of something from Anne Limaccord, which was honestly the cringiest thing I've ever seen. I'm going to try to watch a little bit of it for you. If you want, you can watch the whole thing. Go to her, Twitter page and check it out. But prepare for goosebumps, because this one's bad, folks. Here we go.
Dear President Vladimir Putin, I'm so sorry that I was not your mother. If I was your mother, you would have been so loved, held in the arms of joyous light. Never would the stories plight the world.
It's a poem, guys.
World before our eyes, a pure demise of nations sitting peaceful under a night sky. I was your mother. The world would have been warm.
Was Putin's mother like some crazy, horrible person I didn't know about that would bait him up every night or something?
Soul-stealing pain that the little boy,
or is she just the one woman who would have been a good mother for
formulation
Putin?
of thought quickly taught.
He probably had a shitty mom. It was a Russian mom, but
unjust world. Is this why you now decide no one will get the best of you?
This is how women think, men think.
Nor away shy from taking back the world. It was it because so early in life, all that strife racked your little body with fear. If I was your mother, if the world was cold, I'd have died to make you warm. I'd have died to protect you from the unjust, the violence, the terror.
Okay, yeah, that's all I can take of that. I'm sorry, guys, but the next one's not much better. This is how apparently a woman just thinks she could have done better because she would have been a better mom and Putin would have been crazy, wouldn't have wanted to reunite the USSR because I guess he wouldn't have gone on to be a KGB agent. Or maybe perhaps she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about and she just decided to make a poem so that she could direct all of this attention going towards Ukraine back on herself because that's the way celebrities and particularly females think. Here's another example of that with Joy Behar from Liz Wheeler saying she couldn't believe this. I honestly can't believe this as ridiculous as Joy Behar is, but let's take a quick look at what her reaction to war in Ukraine was and how strongly she felt for the Ukrainian peoples who may be injured in this, or the Russians, or anybody.
Estimates are 50,000 Ukrainians will be dead or wounded, and that this is going to start a humanitarian crisis, a refugee crisis in Europe. We're talking about 5 million people that are going to be displaced. I mean,
it's tough.
It's
definitely
heartbreaking
bad.
to hear what is going to happen.
Well, I'm scared of what's going to happen in Western Europe too. You know, you plan a trip, you want to go there. I want to go to Italy for 4 years. I haven't been able to make it because of the pandemic, and now this.
Really,
it's
Joy?
like, what's gonna happen there?
Yeah. Estimates are 50,000.
Yeah, okay. So her initial thought, instead of, and it's not even like her initial thought was she knows about all this 50,000 people dying, 5 million people being displaced. That was just said in the sentence prior. So she's very aware of it. She just thinks that the thing taking priority that people aren't mentioning, why aren't anybody mentioning this? Why she can't go visit Ukraine on vacation, so. Now, those are a little bit of the funnier ones. Unfortunately, there is some propaganda that is significantly more dangerous, and that's what I want to get into a little bit next, which would start with things like this. Pointed out by Fox on the beach with 2 E's. You need to recognize this. Whenever you're seeing a video that comes from Ukraine by somebody in wartime, and there's a crowd of people injured, any of this kind of stuff, give it half an hour. Just give it half an hour and see what the news says afterwards, and keep searching it. Anytime you see an image from this place, I want you to reverse image search it. Anytime you see a video, I want you to kind of think about the fact that deepfakes can be made. This is a very important thing for what I'm going to show you next, starting with this.
Here we go, and action!
I turned it down a bit because it's just screaming, but it's a representation of what things like this are very possibly able to be. Now, while I would like to point out that at the same time, this video itself could have been used as propaganda from the other side, saying that, oh, see this video where everybody's running and screaming? Well, this was the person directing the video, while this was actually from something else, and the original video of running and screaming was real. So, I'd like to take this other tweet from this individual political orgasm and read it to you, because it's very important for the things that we continue to see coming out of Ukraine. Remember, kids, what you see on TV is many times not as real as you think it is, especially when it comes to the lying media hacks who are only there to propagandize and shape your worldview to benefit a continually contrived narrative. Discernment and validation are key, and this is a really good example of exactly how they can do this, because it's a terrifying clip to start with. Hold on. There we go. Look at this kid walking. Why would you let your kid do this? That's insane. You're gonna let your kid do something like this? And they almost fell! Holy smoly! Holy smokes. Oh, a little too close to the edge there, buddy. Oh, wait. Maybe not everything we see is real. Do you see this effect? Because I can literally do that in the same video editor that I'm using to make this video right now, and it was free. So this kind of thing that you see immediately announces a feeling of fear, anger, maybe rage towards the parents, anger towards the state for allowing this to happen, anger towards the person putting it on YouTube or whatever, or Twitter in this case. But you need to remember, especially, this is something that anybody could do with zero level of sophistication in 20 minutes to look on YouTube. What do you think the Russian or Ukrainian or US or UK or any of the governments that's interested in this conflict going one way or the other, what do you think they have the capability of doing? And for instance, here's a pretty good semi-decent example of a different type of propaganda that we're seeing, but equally insidious and equally there, and it's also equally important for you to recognize that it's there. So you can see these soldiers lining up against the sides of the road just to make sure that they're still semi in camouflage to allow things to go through. You know, they're doing it real quiet, moving forward, real silent, real important. It's important to be quiet, right? Except for this giant cadre of media personalities behind them. Let's let this cycle a couple times so you can see exactly what's happening. So you see these guys right here, these guys. Yeah, those are the same people in the background there, because from the foreground, when you see this image, it's creepy. But then once you realize all these people are watching behind them, maybe all of this is contrived specifically in order to get us to think certain things. I just thought that might be a little bit important. At the same time, you have weird stuff happening. Now, this could be explained as just somebody who is maybe kind of incompetent. But if you ever put a... well, here, let me just show you the clip real quick. These brave, heroic soldiers.
To protect our future, to protect our freedom and our democracy. We are in the center of Kiev.
Wah, wah. So this is a little reminiscent of yeah, and then this guy hands it back to him.
This is very
a little sheepish. And to be fair, a lot of these people were just they're not the most elite soldiers in the world, but we are being told that they're the most elite soldiers in the world. They're just kicking Russia's ass. Now, we saw everything that Russia did in Syria with all their massive, up-to-date technological equipment with huge grizzled soldiers that knew what they were doing. But all of a sudden in this Ukraine conflict, we see all these things with these little kids getting captured and these crappy little tanks and this crappy equipment that they're using that's from the 1980s with the Z's on the side. And people, for some reason, aren't putting two and two together. Putin clearly has the forces that he could use. He's not. He's going against these guys. And these guys either can't... That's what I was going to say. If you have ever put a magazine in a weapon, you know when it clicks. There's not a lot of... I didn't click all the way in there. That's a very silly thing to do by somebody who's literally never done it before. So either this was just for a TV op, which is likely, or something else, but regardless, it does show that these people are not as prepared as the media would like you to think, because they're not repelling this force. In maybe a week or two, Ukraine is going to be Russian territory, and all of these same people are going to be massively surprised that the freaking Avengers team of the Ghost of Kiev and the Snake Island people were not real, which we're getting to. There's also, well, let's get to right here. This is Ian Bremer, and this tweet is still up. This is from the 24th, so a few days ago. Last words for some incredibly brave Ukrainians. So this was told that there was an island of Ukrainians on this little tiny island. It's kind of insignificant, but they held their own. The 13 Ukrainians that were here held their own and said no to the warship that came up, and they were killed. Let's take a quick look at that. Well, actually, I think this is just the text. Yeah, okay, here we go. So, guy says, sorry. This is a Russian warship. I repeat. I suggest you surrender your weapons and capitulate. Otherwise, I will open fire. Do you copy? This is it. Should I tell him to go fuck himself? That's the Ukrainians. Just in case. Turns the volume up. Russian warship, go fuck yourself. And then, as we were told, this is Russian warship, I repeat, this, and as we were told immediately following this, there was massive death and destruction that rained down upon this. And for literal days, we were told that these brave soldiers laid down their lives for Ukrainianism. And I guarantee you that there were Ukrainians that literally did lay down their lives because they believed this. They believed that this island was real, and they believed that there were people that were strong enough and powerful enough to fight for Ukraine. And they will too. I guarantee you this got people killed because of their inspiration. Now let's take a look at what the President Vladimir Zelensky had to say about this right afterwards, or not too far afterwards, far enough afterwards that he should have known what had happened. We've lost heroes, our citizens. 10 of them were officers, 316 people have been wounded. Defending the Zmynya Island, all our border guards died a heroic death. Confirmed by Volodymyr Zelensky himself, the president. But they have not surrendered. They will be all awarded posthumously the title of the hero of Ukraine. Well, that's something, I feel like that would inspire people to give up their lives. Let those who gave their lives for Ukraine be remembered forever. Wouldn't that be inspiring to you if your nation was being taken over? I remain at the capital. My family is also in Ukraine. My children are in Ukraine. Blah, 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 blah. Families in Ukraine. Children are in Ukraine. My family are not traitors. They are citizens of Ukraine. Where exactly they are, I have no right to say. According to the information we have, the enemy has marked me as target number 1. My family is target number 2. So kind of using these people's deaths as, clouding to hide why he's, hiding. They want to damage Ukraine politically by destroying the head of the state. Me, you see, that's why I'm not on the front lines. I'm not on the front lines because people die to protect me. And then, not shortly after that, breaking, it's official. Snake Island sailors are alive. Navy confirms they were taken prisoner by Russia. Here's one of the gentlemen actually listening to that speech. One of the gentlemen who died on that island. Right. Here we go. Talks about the heroes of Ukraine medal for them. If they already buried us, then it was their plan to bury us. They said that what you have said, and ends the camera and says, hey, I'm still alive. Unfortunately, the political propaganda, the shroud of war machine continues to roll, and there's a gentleman by the name of Adam Kinzinger who calls himself a Republican who is particularly interesting when with the kind of funny, kind of tragic propaganda. So let's take a quick look at what he has to say. So from Adam Kinzinger's point of view, I hope now people are starting to realize that Russia is a paper tiger. This was February 27th. I would like to remind you that it was like a day after they invaded. Well, the point is that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is happening faster, and they're moving towards the capital quicker than America did during Desert Storm, which was after 10 weeks of bombing their trade routes and stuff. And the Russians just decide to walk in, and they're having a little bit of trouble in the first couple days because they're not sending their massive forces that we saw them fight in Syria with. Why would you say they're a paper tiger when you literally saw their military just, not even 5 years ago, using modern technology and grizzled, well-trained veteran soldiers in warfare? You're saying those people just disappeared, they just floated into the air? Well, Adam Kinzinger's a bit of a joke right now because of this tweet that he put out, and he did delete it, to be fair. So there was a story about this person called the Ghost of Kiev, a ace pilot who had just grabbed an old MiG-22, an old 80s jet, and of course there was a couple different people saying, no, it's this kind of jet, no, it's that kind of jet. But regardless, they said he by himself took out 6 people on the first day. He was an ace pilot, and it was just the kind of propaganda that people needed to hear. Turned out that this was all lies, as should have been obviously noticeable from the first time, and people were actually defending the lie, saying that it's important not to point out that it's a lie because it's the only thing that the Ukrainian people have to hold on to right now in order to, I guess, like I said, make them the ones to give up their lives for whoever is running this insane debacle. So Adam Kinzinger tweeted, "The Ghost of Kiev has a name, and he has absolutely owned the Russian Air Force. Godspeed and more kills, Samuel," from this guy. Ukrainian ace fighter pilot known as the Ghost of Kiev, real name is Samuel Hyde, a 36-year-old who is identified as the MiG-29 pilot accredited with downing 6 Russian jets. And if you know anything about the internet, you will recognize this face as comedian Samuel Hyde, as this person spells out pretty easily. The Ghost of Kiev is fake, and not only that, Sam Hyde is an American comedian with a YouTube channel people make memes about. Adam Kinzinger is a Republican representative that voted to impeach Trump. He stepped down after his first term because he will not be able to win again. This is the person who called Russia a paper tiger, and I would just like to point out that Adam Kinzinger is always wrong. So, Tucker Carlson decided to call him out, I believe last night, on his insane propaganda, and Adam didn't like that very much, but let's take a quick look at what Tucker had to say, because I think it succinctly puts together exactly what I'm trying to say in a little bit shorter way. So maybe he's better at this than I am, but let's take a look.
Just the other day, Kinzinger posted images on Twitter of a Ukrainian air ace called the Ghost of Kiev. He downed Russian MiGs left and right. Well, it turns out the whole thing was a hoax, but of course Adam Kinzinger had no idea because he knows nothing. Quote, "The Ghost of Kiev has a name, and he has absolutely owned the Russian Air Force," he tweeted. Imagine a sitting member of Congress tweeting about a war like it's a cable news segment. He absolutely owned the Russian Air Force.
Yeah,
really?
he owned them. It's all about owning
Get some respect.
the
People
libs.
are dying, buffoon. Kinzinger then attached an obviously photoshopped image of the comedian Sam Hyde sitting in the cockpit of a fighter jet. Sam Hyde, for the record, is not a Ukrainian fighter ace. He is, once again, a comedian. That was Adam Kinzinger. These are the people pushing us toward a new world war. Just the other day,
And Kinzinger decided to respond to that by saying, "Tucker, I'm not pushing us towards war. Your mentor, Putin, is doing that?" Okay, whatever. Regardless of that, he replies, and that tweet was up for about 10 seconds because I recognize and correct mistakes. Tucker Carlson pivots to blame. Adam, it's up for 10 seconds and you recognize and correct mistakes? Here is a post that is still up on Adam Kinzinger's verified personal Twitter account, where he says, "The Ghost of Kiev, we raise a glass. Here is to even more," allowing this piece of propaganda to continue its tumultuous tumble towards the ears of Ukrainians who will take it as a reason to fight. Which perhaps they shouldn't, but it's not up to me, and it certainly isn't up to Adam Kinzinger or Biden to decide who should or shouldn't die and put the blood again in the soil during this another brother war. But I feel like to wrap this up a little bit, it would be interesting to see what Biden had to say about Ukraine, because, Trump is a Russian puppet who is constantly being pushed around by Russia in order to do what they want, as I've been told by the mainstream media since day one. So let's take a quick look at a little bit of a time switch back into what Biden had to say during his campaign in 2019.
going to take a hell of a lot of work to make up for all the damage he's done internationally and nationally.
Very true.
His network of thugs and co-conspirators are going to continue to try to undermine our democracy in the meantime.
But you can't say thugs.
Imagine what he can do in another year. Imagine what can happen in Ukraine.
Make no mistake, this is a full-scale Russian invasion into Ukraine happening right now, and the air raid sirens going off in the Ukrainian capital as we speak.
A little bit of an interesting juxtaposition there. So I'd like to wrap up this video in a similar way to what I started it with. If you look back at my video from yesterday, I actually did an interview with a gentleman who's currently fighting on the ground in Ukraine, and I have absolutely nothing but respect for those people fighting on either side of this conflict, because they're fighting for the person next to them in the rabbit hole next to them, and they understand the immense power that is the shift that's taking place right now. They at least take it seriously. On our side of the world, we have people memeing about how Zelensky is the new head of the Avengers and how they need to take, you know, the Putin is the new Red Skull or Voldemort or whatever media type of thing they have to represent war in their heads. Because unfortunately, the Twitterati leftists who control the levers of our society don't even have a frame of reference for an idea of what violence in war is like. That has been multiplicity proved to us over and over again in the last few days, showing us that they have no way of comprehending the battle that comes to them. A good thing is that means that we will win. The bad thing is that means that the current people in charge have absolutely no way of making sure that we remain a sovereign people. So what I have to say to you is laugh. Enjoy it, because life is a tragedy for those who feel, but a comedy for those who think. Honk honk. Anyways, please like this video. Please share, subscribe. I got like 4,000 views on one of my other videos, which just goes to show that when YouTube isn't shadow banning me, they actually do pretty good. So if you could, please share this with a friend, share it with a family member, anybody who'd like to have a little bit of information so that they know that anything that they see on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, any of the mainstream media corporations is probably a video that they didn't spend time fact checking and they just plopped it into the news because that's what a 24-hour news cycle requires. So feel free to visit the support links below. Check me out at jimmyjam.xyz, which is my personal website. I've got it up now. It's going to be edited and probably filled with a whole bunch of more stuff soon, but for now there's a little bit of a placeholder there. And you guys have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.